Hello, good morning. It's, oh, God knows, it's like 6:30, I think, and I woke up early. Well, I wake up early every day, because my cat wakes me up for food. Siamese cats, people. Well, he's Siamese, he's black, but he's mixed race. See, I'm not racist. I have a black cat. Right. Anyway. I made a video about, fuck knows, 4 or 5 months ago, maybe less than that, titled "We're All MK Ultra," and I was just lying in bed at 4 o'clock this morning after I'd fed the cats. Oh wow, there's a rainbow of sorts again. I won't bother showing you because it doesn't come out on the camera. It's weird. Whoa, no, is that a rainbow? It's like an orange bridge. Oh well. Anyway, never mind. It's a topic that I think needs to be covered again because, oh, jeez, it's just very obvious to me that freedom is something we really do have to fight for in a way. Even surrender requires a great deal of effort. Everything does, doesn't it? Awakening, the awakening journey is a very intense journey for some of us, and I think for the people for whom it seems so easy, that's just out there and that's not real. That's just not real. The world around us just isn't real. It's very plastic. It's plasticky, it's very Truman Show. All these people that you come across, on YouTube or just in the sort of the arena, as it's called or whatever, that these people that give these kind of like they have these seminars, don't they, and they charge a lot of money as well, and people throng to these seminars en masse and whatever, and they all sit there and they all drink it in, they drink it in and they drink it in, and to me that's always seemed a little odd, a little herd, hive mind sort of thing. And there's always something lacking, there's just a spark that's lacking there, See, we're taught from the minute we're born to take truth from other people, from the outside, and to make it our own, yeah? So you get loads of people, I see that when I'm in the car or something, with a little fish with little feet on the bottom, in a sticker on their back windows and stuff, saying, oh, I'm a Darwinist, like they themselves have done the research and have found out for themselves that we are evolved from apes, which they haven't. Somebody told them that, and they accepted it as truth, which there is actually there's a missing link for a reason, people. But to distill our own truth, and truth is a very nebulous and weighty sort of words with all kinds of weird connotations. Is there such a thing as truth? Might be worth asking that question. What is truth? What is it? I mean, I believe in ferreting it out for ourselves, and I believe in getting comfortable with whatever our own individual truth is, and to not get upset or distracted by other people's truth, even if they're very, very busy trying to convince you it is the only truth. right? Because I just don't think it works that way. Now, we feel safe, I think, when we are ensconced, as it were, in a group or a movement, a bowel movement, because, that saying, there's safety in numbers. Well, but is there safety in a number one? What if, through your own deductions and your own investigations and your own journey down your own personal rabbit hole, has brought up your own sense that you, I, individual people, sorry, excuse me guys, but we distill our own truth, we create our own reality, our own perception of truth based on the experiences we have had. So, for someone who's had a really tough life and a really shitty childhood, that's really going to colour their reality, isn't it? For somebody who was really loved as a child and who was inspired and supported, it's going to be something very different. I would say they likely have less of an impetus for awakening, but that isn't always true. See, reality isn't black and white. Well, it is black and it is white to some extent, but it's also, there's loads of so-called grey areas, and there's loads of red and pink and green and even colours that we've never seen before. But when you think or realise or sense that you're done with accepting the truth as it is presented to you via somebody else or via some sort of movement or via some sort of like company or whatever, and you reckon that, hey, I need to figure it out for myself and to really go into my own psyche and to really question, why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way? And trace it all back. Trace everything back to the origins. So, obviously some of the origins are going to be past lives. Some of the origins are going to be ancestral. Some of the origins are going to be stuff that's just happened to you throughout life. The whole sort of reality, well, the reality that we live in is one of trauma-based mind control, there's no doubt about it. You try and start ferreting out your truth with an aim to liberating yourself in any way. And you'll find that your mind is almost like drawn away from it. It's like something doesn't want you to go there, it's well, distraction. I noticed it yesterday. It was all because I had some really good things coming up. And it was like, okay, I'm going to go with that and see where that goes. And then something else would enter my mind and it would impede that. It would draw it back. As in, no, you can't go there. You mustn't go there. Which then makes me realise, okay, that's where I need to go. That's a tangent I need to follow. Yeah? It's all programming and conditioning, and all that has to be shed. It has to be, if we are to be free. Because true freedom lies in getting to the nothingness of it all. the realization that this isn't real. This is all Maya. It's not real, people. I've noticed this. There was a guy on YouTube, and somebody said, "Oh, go and have a look at him because everything he says is just so amazing." So I went and had a look at him, and I thought, there's nothing amazing in what he says. I've heard it all before, and the guy just wasn't really very awake at all, making statements like, well, the world is just a little bit out of sorts. And I'm thinking, a little bit? Wow, you haven't got a fucking clue, man. You don't feel it. You're not tuning in here. You know, not tuning in at all. When you're a genuine, raw soul consciousness here, and you are, you mean business, you will go everywhere. You will explore everything. We are explorers. We are explorers, And so much is labeled as unknown. Unknown. Because when all's said and done, there are many places we're just afraid to go, aren't we? Because something inside of us goes, no, 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 no. And that is the mind control. The trauma. Trauma is a very powerful weapon used against us. It's used in a multiple manner of ways, and on every different level that you enter, you will encounter it again. Trauma is fear, of course. No, you mustn't go there, you'll get in trouble. Or something simply tries to kill a tangent that you're on. It's like, oh, look at this, and it's always something banal. Look at that, go there, go to the banal, go to the meaningless, but stay there, And when you get to a point where you start to realize this, and you start to realize that, it's important that I trust myself and that I trust this intuition and this guidance and this sense that I get. That's a good point to be at. That's the threshold. It's when you're facing your biggest fears. Something may happen that will bring you face to face with your greatest fears, whatever that might be. That's when things start really getting real, It's right there in front of you, and it brings up all that trauma, all that fear, all that confusion, all this, but I can't really trust myself, and I can't trust anybody else, and I don't know what's what, and I don't know anything. But when you go beyond that, you realise that you do know things, and that sense of, well, I don't know anything and I'm lost, like I was there, isn't actually the truth. That is a distraction. I didn't realise that at the time. It came on really, really strong, and it had me by the proverbial neck up against the wall for a bit there. And it was all brought on by an event that made me face some of my biggest fears. I felt totally, well, I can't even think of the words, like just, it was really, still is in a way. But I came to realise, there are things that I do know. There are things that I know. And then you start remembering, and it's a good thing when you have journals to go back to as well, because then you can remember, yes, I remember. We do know things, but we need to trust ourselves that we know these things, and we need to be aware of the constant attempts at sabotage. Those attempts that tell us that you're weak and you're powerless and you don't know anything and you're rudderless. You're like a tiny little ship lost at sea in a white squall, and you're going to drown and you're finished. Because we do know things. We certainly know more and more and more what is wrong. And when you know what is wrong, you start to know what's right. You start to see the contrast. It's like beating yourself up and sabotaging yourself. You become more and more aware of that. And then you realize, oh yeah, my parents did that to me. Every time you got something wrong, that was a big, big deal, right? A big deal. Every time you got something right, nobody mentioned a thing, you know. So you learn to do that to yourself, for example. You learn to be afraid when you get it wrong, when you make a mistake. Well, a perceived mistake. Because I had it yesterday, because I decided to watch Sabrina, you know, the chilling adventures of Sabrina, which is for educational purposes. And I learned a lot. I did. And yeah, there was this voice in my head saying, oh, you shouldn't be watching this, and you know, you're just you know, you should be doing something, you should be productive, and you know, you're never going to get anywhere. You can't just lie on your ass and watch television. That's bad and that's wrong. But I was getting some really good info, you know, and it was truly good, and it brought me some really good tangents that I could follow and resolve and clarify and whatnot, you know. But there was a constant sense of, oh no, you can't go there, oh no, you mustn't think that, and oh wow. It's piercing the veil. It's learning to just watch those thoughts and feelings that accompany it. Just watch it. Don't go into it, just watch it. And then you start to see how the trauma-based mind control works to, you know, to hinder us, to trip us up, to distract us, to lure us away from the truth, which lies within us. Believe me, it does. And of course, that's what it's all about. Trauma-based mind control. People talk about MK Ultra as if that happens to Marilyn Monroe and people like that. And it does, but it happens to all of us. And you know, we just look for the answers out there somewhere. Somebody must have the answer and they'll give it to me. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. The answer lies within us. We'll come across stuff that resonates. It may resonate for a while and then you move on to something else. They're like stepping stones in a way, you know? Some things really resonate and they become part of our blueprints, of our map, our compass, you know. They stay around because, yeah. But ultimately, truth and freedom and power is distilled within us. It has to be. It's like some of my subscribers, you leave me some amazing comments. Tom, I love your comments, they're really good. But you know, I don't resonate with everything that people say. Some of it, yeah, it's cool, it's brilliant, and it feels good and I take it on board and it helps me. Some of it doesn't. Like I can't see us all ascending in December this year. I can't see it happening. That's just like another 2012 and I don't feel that. It'd be nice if it happens, you know. I truly believe that taking full responsibility for our own consciousness is what it's all about, and we need to be in a state of high discernment at all times. And the only way you can do that is by being the observer to everything. That can be very uncomfortable, but it is very necessary, because so much enters. We're like really like kind of like computers, and computers get viruses and malware and all kinds of stuff, and we need to be on the lookout for that shit, So when you have these moments where you think, I don't know anything, then I suppose in a sense that's partially true, but it's also not true, because when you really go within, you start to realize that actually you do know things, and that perhaps there is an anti-force of sorts, well, archonic, whatever, that tries to undermine that, tries to get you to not tune into that and know the knowing, because that is the key, isn't it? That's the key, that's the door, the threshold, the gateway, the eye of the needle. I think the best work is done when we are truly challenged to the very core of our being. I think that's when we do our best work. So it's really hard when that happens, though, isn't it? Our health, mental health, physical health, financial, family, friends, all just shit that happens in the world that you think, what the fuck? Anything that makes you see and face and experience the fear of, the fear of your greatest fear, they say there's nothing to fear but fear itself. I think there's some truth to that. I think it's a bit of a platitude, but I think there's some truth to it. It does make us stronger in a way. It's a bit early, guys, maybe I'm babbling on a bit. I mean, for today, just go within, guys, and ask yourself, okay, maybe get some paper and a pen and write down things that you feel you know. Make a column. Things I do know for a fact. And then there's always like a little string attached to the things that you think you know. So start following those tangents. How do I know that? Why do I know that? Where does that go? Where did that come from? What have I experienced in life that makes me think I know this? And what can I get from it? Is this a helpful thing? Is this going to help me to transcend, to liberate myself? Is it going to help me to my freedom and to my destiny and my purpose? Will it empower me? We all have the anti-force within us, and we have it all around us. We find that often enough people will actively discourage us, and we need to learn to take it in our stride, we will lose our footing sometimes, momentarily, we will, sometimes for days, weeks, months, but in a sense, that all contributes to us, because when we find it again, we are the better for it, the richer for it, the more powerful for it, the wiser for it, the stronger for it, whatever. Mistakes, I think, are not really mistakes at all. I think they're important in our journey, I mean, that's just the way I feel about that. I mean, many of us have been through a lot. There's no denying that. And I think we're so used to that, we're so used to struggling and hardship and the feeling that, you know, we're stuck in a well, you know, like a well with oozy, black, muddy walls, and we try and scrabble out of the well and we just can't seem to get out of it. That's the anti-force, the archonic mind virus, the sabotage, you know, it makes you a bit confused. Oh, I can't think straight. Whoa, what's going on? That sort of thing, you know, as well. I think we are far too comfortable in that pit. I think that's where we've lived our whole life, you know. I think that there is a kind of resignation there of, well, that's just the way it has to be, I suppose. There's nothing we can do, and, you know, that's just how it's going to be. And I just have to accept it and whatnot, but I just don't feel that at all. There is there's this poem, and I don't know the whole poem, but I think it's called Taken at the Flood. I mean, I know it, but I can't, you know, reiterate it here, because it's too early. Our finest hour, you know. When the going gets tough, the tough get going, so I believe in that. The scariest thing for me is to choose to not go with the fear of it's better to expect the worst and to be afraid. Don't go to your intuition, which tells you that everything is going to work out. You're on the right path. You're being initiated and everything is going to work out. Now is the time to tap into your courage. That is the ultimate choice for me here. It's different things for different people. It's terrifying because you think, well, if I go with my intuition and I allow myself to let go and surrender, will I get smashed? Whoa. Because we're used to that. We're used to getting our lights punched out, you know, in so many different ways. And that's a real fear. It's a real raw, gut-wrenching sort of fear. That, you know, and behind that lies the sense that, well, I'm not really good enough and I'm bad and I'm not worthy. I don't really deserve for everything to work out. I don't really deserve to inherit myself and my role. God, everything makes so much noise. Have you noticed that, guys? You see, in a sense, that is, again, that's distraction, isn't it? It's just like everything is very loud. Machinery, vacuum cleaners, everything is so loud. It's our responsibility to not let go and to not let up, but to keep ferreting out truth, such as it is. And to ask the questions that nobody else wants to ask, again and again and again. This is not about being all nice and glossy and egotistically spiritual, you know, about the following or being a follower. This is about the truth of you, the truth of me, our own individual experience and journey, and to work it out. It's like a puzzle, yeah? And all the pieces of your puzzle, of my puzzle, are within us. That's what this is. And to have faith in ourselves, which is very, very hard. But I feel we're always guided back to it. It's like a loop, you know, we leave ourselves momentarily and we'll go on a kind of foray into something or other, and we go out of ourselves And then we go around, and we come back to ourselves again, you know, to our own sense of truth. And it's okay to be alone. It's okay to have your truth and to not know anyone who shares that with you. I think that's okay. It takes courage, but it's okay. We can do that. That's it, being authentic, and that's being real. And if then something happens and you realise, oh, I was kind of mistaken about that, it's actually something else, then that's cool too. I mean, it is an adventure as well, you know. It's a quest and it's an adventure, and it can't always be. It is very intense, it is hard going, it is tough as fuck, oh boy. But at the same time, it's also very interesting and curious, and it's very mysterious, you know, because the truth is probably not something that we can ever put into words. It's only something that can be experienced, because it is not so much in or off this place. It's more peripheral, I think. It's far more than that. It's peripheral. It's in between the words. It's in between the language. It's in between the certainty and the uncertainty. Truth is peripheral, and you find it in the silence. You'll find truth when you learn to step away from the shadow mind and the anti-force. When you allow that to just, okay then, go ahead. Yap, and feel, and you're just there, observing. Observe, witness, and just allow. Because you'll find that you start pushing back, it just grows stronger, you know, it really does. So don't push back, fuck it. See, that's what the High Priestess does. She dwells on the threshold. She's always in between the two realms, the realm of magic and mystery and the realm of the material world. She knows how to listen and how to allow the great mystery to reveal itself to her. And it always lies in our intuition. Judgment is not a good thing. We need to dispense with that. It's better to just let it all be and just observe. Because judgment is the thing we've learned, you know, it's fear. It's definitely made of fear, and it's a block. It's a block. It blocks. And it's a programmed reaction, of course. So we can do all this work, you see, there's plenty for us to do here. We're not stuck. It might seem that way sometimes, but we're not really. We're not stuck. We're just experiencing the intensity of some sort of magical transformation. Where it's going, we as yet do not know. And maybe we shouldn't really think about that too much. And just be in the here and now for a little while and just tune in. That's all for today. Love you all.